Hello guys, welcome to a new series. So in this series what we are going to do is we are going to build a file upload system with Spring Boot and React. So first what we'll do is we'll build the file upload service using Spring Boot. For that I am using Eclipse as the IDE. So inside Eclipse you will get something called Spring Tool Suite, which you can download actually from inside Eclipse itself. If you go to help and Eclipse marketplace, you can just search for STS. You need to select Spring Tools for. I have already installed it. You can click on install there and it will get installed. Once you install, you can start a new project using Spring Starter project. Here you will see the configuration required for starting the project. I am using Java version 11. You can give the file service name as file service. For the group we'll give com.fileservice.ws. ws stands for web service, as we are making a web service. We can copy that and use as package name as well. Click on next. Now we have to select some Spring libraries for our project. We will select Spring Web. It's necessary for all the MVC and making our web service. Then we will look at Spring Boot Dev Tools. Let's click on finish. Once your project is downloaded, you will get such a folder. So inside that you will see the source main Java and source main resources. In main.java you get com.fileservice.ws, which is our main package, and inside that there is the file service application.java, which is the file that runs the application. Now inside the resources we have application.properties, where we can set up different properties for different Spring libraries. So as we are going to use file upload, we need to set some properties for multi-part file. So we are uploading the file as multi-part, so we need to set up some properties for it. So first we need to enable it using spring.servlet.multipart.enable. Then we need to set a threshold for 2 KB and maximum file size of 200 MB, and the maximum request size should be a little more than 200 MB. And we'll set up a file.upload directory and set it as uploads. So this file.upload directory is a custom property that we are setting, which is not identified by Spring. You can see the yellow line. So we need to create a configuration file. For that we will create a file called file storage properties. So this file storage properties, we will give the annotation @configuration properties. So this is for actually reading that particular application property which gives file, right? So in this configuration properties we will prefix it with file. Now whatever we like prefix with file, we can get in using this configuration property. So we will first declare the variable upload dir, which we have declared in the application properties. We'll set up some getters and setters using the IDE. Now let's create a file storage service class. So here we will write the service for storing the file as well as loading it from the directories. So we'll annotate this service with authorized service. Now we will declare a variable of type path. So we'll declare the variable name as file storage location, and we can import path from java.nio.file. Now we need to initialize this file storage location. So for that we will create the file storage service constructor. For constructor injection, we are going to give at auto void. Now Spring will automatically inject the file storage properties class. Now we'll initialize the file storage location to paths.get of file storage properties .get upload directory, which is our directory we specified in the application .properties. Now we will use the toAbsolutePath method and we will normalize the path. Now we will use the files.create directories method and we will pass the file storage location to it. We don't need the second parameter. So this will create the directory if it does not exist, and we will use catch to handle any exception. We will throw a custom file storage exception. So the exception will be could not create the directory to upload. And now we need to create a file to handle our custom exception. So we'll name the file storage exception. So this class will extend the runtime exception. Now we need to add two constructors. First constructor will take in a message parameter, and we will return a super of message. Second constructor will take in a message as well as the cause of the error, and using super we will return it. Now our file is resolved. Next we need to add a method for storing the file. So we will add a public string method and we will name it store file. So inside this method we will get the multipart file. So this method takes multipart file as the argument, and we need to import the multipart file from Spring Framework. I will declare a variable called file name with the type string, and to this file name we will give the original name of the file. We will use string utils.cleanpath to normalize the file name. Now we need to declare a variable for the target location. So this variable will be type of path, and for this we will use the file storage location dot resolve method. So and we will give the file name. Now we need to copy the file, and we will copy the file.get input stream to the file target location. We'll pass in a third argument so that every time the same file name comes, it will replace the existing file. So we use standard copy option dot replace existing. Now we can return the file name. So if any exception occurs, we will throw the file storage exception, and we'll use the second constructor here, and so that we can get the exception name. So this will be an IO exception. We need to add the new keyword. Okay. So this was the function to store the file. Now we need a function to retrieve the file. So we will retrieve the file as a resource. So for this function we will write a public function, and we'll name it as load file as resource. So we are going to load the file as a resource actually. So this will take in the file name. Now we need to retrieve the path using the file name. So we will declare a variable called file path of type path, and from the file storage location we will resolve the file name. Now we will get the file path. We will also normalize it. Now we will use the resource type, and we will use the new URL resource class to take this file path and convert it to a resource. So we will use file path to URI, which we pass to the URL resource class. We are getting some error, so let us go. So we have to actually import the resource from Spring. So we can import it from org.springframework.core.io. Also we have declared it as function, so we need to change it to a resource type. So now this function returns a resource. Now if the resource exists, we can return the resource. Otherwise we will throw a my file not found exception. So this is also a custom exception that we have to write. So in the catch also we will use the malformed URL exception. So this happens when if the URL that we retrieve is some kind of malformed URL. Now we will throw the same file not found exception here. Now we need to create the my file not found exception. So let's create a new class. Let's name it my file not found exception. So same as the file storage exception, we can create it. So here we'll have a response status which we give us http status dot not found. Rest of the thing is same as the file storage exception. We have a default. We have a constructor with the string, the message string as the input, and we'll use super to handle that message. And we will have the second constructor which will take in as the message and cause as the arguments. We'll also use super for outputting the message. Okay, we need to extend the runtime exception. We can put the semicolon. Now we will create a new file so that we can give the response for the file. So we will name it as a file response. So this will be the response of the file once it is created actually. So we can use private string file name variable, and we will copy that and make some more variables. So we will have the file download URI, file type, and also the size. Now we can use the source and generate the constructor with all the fields. Same way with the IDE, we can using the source we will generate the getters and setters for this class. We'll select everything and we'll generate the getters and setters. So that our file response class is over. Now we need to create a new class which will be our file controller. So we can make it as a REST controller using the @REST controller annotation, and we will also use that request mapping annotation, and our path will be files. So first we will have the file storage service. So we will use at the auto add annotation so that it is automatically injected by Spring Framework. And we have put mapping. So the file upload is a put operation. So we will now declare a method. So this method will return as a response entity. So this is something that the user sees, right? So we use response entity from Spring Framework, and we can give the name as upload file. So this function takes in as a request param the multipart file, and the request param name is file. Now we will declare a variable called file name, and from this file storage service we will store the file, and we will give the file from the multipart file to it. So now actually our file is stored using the file storage service. So the next thing is to make the file download URI. So we will use the servlet URI components builder, and from this we will use the from current context path method, and we will build the URI using it. So it will generate the URI from the current context, and we give the path as /up files /uploads, and also we will the next thing is to the path we will append the file name. So first we upload the path of the files folder, then we append the path of the file name, and we use the toURI string method to convert it into a file download URI. Now we will declare a file response object, and to that we to the constructor we will pass all these things: file name, file download URI, and for the content type we will use file.getContent type and file.getSize. So we will return a new response entity, and we will return the file response and HTTP status of OK. We have some error. Seems like we have spelling mistake, so we'll move it to file name. Still there is some error. Let's check the error. Oh, so the size we have given a string, so we need to make it long. So let's change it to long everywhere. In the file response we'll change every instance to long. Yeah, now that is resolved. So our put method is over. So now next thing is to use the get mapping to download the file actually. So we need a mapping for getting the file. So let's declare a method to download the file as a URL. So this will have a path of /file name plus dot plus. So this can take in any file, and for the method name we will give it as download file, and it will the response, it will be a type response entity of resource. So we are actually giving back a resource, right? So that's why we are using response entity of resource. So the method name is download file. So it will take in a path variable of string file name, and also we will take in the servlet request. We need this to identify the context of the file. So we need to get the content type, etc. So for that we will use the HTTP servlet request. Now we'll declare a variable of type resource, and to this we'll give the file storage service dot load file as resource, and we'll pass in the file name. So now the from the file name it will take in the file and load it to the resource variable. So next thing is to identify the content type. First we'll declare it as null. Now we will try to get the content type from the HTTP servlet request, and if that doesn't happen we will catch it as an IO exception. So to get the content type we will use this request.getServlet context method. To it has a method called getMyType. Here we will pass the resource. So the resource as the get file, and from the file we will get the absolute path. So we are actually giving the file to the resource to the servlet context, and it tries to identify the content type. If it doesn't identify, we'll just do a system.out.println, but we are not throwing an error or anything. So if the content type is null, we will make the content type as application octet stream. Application octet stream ensures that it is a binary file. Now we need to return the resource. So we'll use the response entity and we will use the method OK from it. Now we will also attach the content type. So we can use the media type from Spring Framework, and we can parse the media type from the content type we get from the file or the application octet stream. Also we'll use the body method and we'll pass in the resource. So this will ensure that we will get back the resource as the response entity. Now we need to run the project. So we will go to run configurations and we will use the Spring Boot tab. So first we need to select the project, which is file service. Then we will search for the main type. For us it is the file service application, and we'll apply that. Next we will run. So now our project will run as a Spring Boot application. You can see that we have some errors in the configuration. File storage configuration, there is some error. Okay, so in the file service application actually we need to give one more annotation to get the configuration file. So this is called the enable configuration properties, and in this we will need to pass the file class name of the file which we use for configuration. So here we use the file storage properties dot class. So now it is actually done. We'll run the project once again. Yeah, now I think our project is running. Let's take Postman. So in Postman we'll use the put method, and we'll go to localhost 8080/files. In the body we'll use the form data, and the name of the parameter file we'll use file method. We'll need to choose a file. So I'll choose a picture and I'll send that picture. So you can see we have the file name, file download URI, file type and size. So let's click on the file download URI. Let's copy it and let's paste it in the browser. So the path has some error. It's showing not found. Let's check once again. Let's go to the controller. So we have given the path as uploads. Actually it should be files as per our request mapping. So it should change to files. So that is our download route, right? So let's do it once again. Let's copy the file download URI, paste it. Still some error, instantiate error. Okay, let's go to the controller. We are using HTTP servlet. Actually we need HTTP servlet request, so let's change that and make it HTTP servlet request instead of HTTP servlet. So for the download file, here the second parameter should be HTTP servlet request. Let's run once again. So now it seems okay. Let's do it once more. Let's copy the file. Let's copy the URI. Let's check in Chrome. Yeah, our file is downloaded. So we have actually finished the service implementation of the file upload. So hope this has been helpful for you. So in the upcoming videos we will look at how to upload the file, how to make a crop and resize component, and how to preview the image after uploading. So stay tuned, and if you like the channel, please subscribe, share and click on the bell icon.